Hey guys, your boy KSI, and today I'm with massive tits. How you doing?
All right, thanks.
Where have your tits gone?
Where have they gone?
Yeah,
What do you mean?
because I can't see them.
I need a bit of black. I need that black all up inside my vein.
Let's start at the beginning. KSI was 19 years old, 1 million subscribers, a Razer partnership, Microsoft sniffing around. By any metric, he was one of the fastest rising British YouTubers of his generation. FIFA videos were doing numbers, major brands were inviting him to events, and it genuinely looked like everything was going in the right direction. And then he walked into the Eurogamer Expo and decided to set it all on fire. At the Earl's Court convention in London, he filmed a video that would go on to become one of the most talked about controversies attached to his name. Instead of talking about games, you know, the thing that everyone at a gaming expo is actually there for, he approached female staff members and asked them questions that most people would consider wildly inappropriate in literally any professional context. At one point, he reportedly asked one woman what her favorite STI was.
Your favorite STD?
Oh, definitely chlamydia.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just to be completely clear about what happened, he walked up to a stranger doing her job at a work event and asked her that, on camera, for YouTube, with a full production crew presumably standing right there. He then directed his attention toward another woman, with viewers later noting that his commentary focused heavily on her chest, which added another layer of criticism on top of an already uncomfortable clip.
Hey, your boy KSI, and today I'm with massive tits. How you doing?
All right, thanks.
Where have your tits gone?
Where have they gone?
Yeah,
What do you mean?
because I
And then came the now infamous motorboating moment, involving a spokesmodel named Brandy Brewer. She later clarified on Twitter that it was consensual and that she saw it as a joke, which was the detail that kept the conversation going, because the internet immediately moved on to the next question. Okay, but what about everyone else in that video? That was where the real damage was.
What about you?
Yeah?
Really? Right now?
Yeah? How was that?
Not big.
Not every woman in that clip had agreed to take part. Some of them were just working, showing up to do their job at a public event, and suddenly found themselves in a sexually suggestive YouTube video that millions of people were going to watch. One woman reportedly ended the interview mid-clip and walked away looking visibly uncomfortable.
Stop fingering yourself.
Pardon?
What?
What the fuck?
I'm being nice to you.
The video stayed up anyway. For some viewers, the specific questions were the issue. For others, it was the setting. The fact that these were staff members at a professional event, not people who had voluntarily agreed to be part of a comedy bit. Others acknowledged the intent may have been playful, but said even if you gave him the benefit of the doubt, the execution was a mess that was always going to look bad. As the clip kept spreading, the conversation shifted from what happened at the event to what it revealed about how KSI was thinking at the peak of his early rise. Supporters kept pointing to the Brandy Brewer clarification. Critics kept pointing to everyone else. The backlash hit fast and hard. Eurogamer permanently banned KSI from future events. Razer publicly cut ties with him. Microsoft ended its partnership and released a statement saying his behavior did not reflect the company's values. He was 19 years old and had just lost a deal with one of the biggest tech companies on Earth. KSI went quiet, while his manager released an apology saying sexism was not something KSI condoned, and that this type of content would not be repeated. They described the video as content from the past, which would have been a strange choice of framing at any point, but felt particularly odd, given the video had only been uploaded a few days earlier. KSI himself didn't address the incident publicly until 2017, when he posted a video called Reacting to Sexual Harassment. He watched the footage back and said it was bad, and admitted he genuinely couldn't understand how people had enjoyed it.
Guess that's misogyny number one. Actually, real quick, what the fuck is on my head? God, I was such a virgin. Funny thing is, I was actually a virgin at the time of this.
But when he tried to explain what had been going through his mind at the time, the explanation didn't quite land. He framed it as inexperience around sex, rather than really engaging with why the women in the video might have felt uncomfortable, which is a very specific way of making something about yourself when it wasn't about you. Then came what fans would later call the R-face era, and this is where the Eurogamer incident started to look less like a one-off mistake and more like part of something that was already baked into his content. After the Eurogamer backlash, most people assumed KSI would recalibrate, step back, reassess, maybe pivot towards something less likely to end with him losing corporate partnerships. He did not do this. Instead, he developed what he personally called the R-face, a recurring bit where he would whip to the camera and shout things along the lines of, "You're getting it today."
You're getting aped today. LOL.
In a way that was clearly intended to reference sexual assault, he turned it into a catchphrase. It appeared regularly throughout his early content, fans treated it like a meme, and for years YouTube and advertisers took no meaningful action. The videos stayed up without consequences. That changed in 2015, when End Violence Against Women publicly called out the clips, and said they made light of sexual violence, and may have helped normalize attitudes that downplay serious harm. The group called on YouTube and advertisers to reconsider their relationship with his content. Once major UK outlets picked up the story, the conversation moved out of comment sections and into the kind of public forum that's harder to scroll past. More old videos resurfaced as the scrutiny increased. In a 2014 clip, he repeatedly referred to a page 3 model using a degrading term while discussing her private life. In a separate deleted video, he made explicit sexual comments about Casper Lee's sister, Theodora, who had no connection to YouTube or any of this.
Mr. Casper? What's her name?
Her name is Theodora.
Sidora?
Theodora.
Like Dora the Explorer?
Kind of, except with Theo.
Because I'm gonna explore her. Jesus. She's gonna watch this. And she's gonna be like, you know what? I need a bit of black. I need that black all up inside my veins.
He also made a joke about wanting to sleep with Zoella while sitting directly next to her boyfriend, Joe Sugg, a moment that a lot of viewers later described as genuinely awkward to watch back.
Well, in one word.
Okay. One word, describe my sister. How are you describing her? 3, 2, 1, go.
Bangable. Yo, that's a compliment though.
Yeah.
Like, and there's so many guys who would destroy her. And then Alfie's the one plowing your sister.
Alfie.
Just...
KSI's team responded by saying he had made mistakes when he was younger and had already addressed them. Critics pushed back almost immediately, pointing out that a significant amount of the most controversial material was produced between 2012 and 2014, when he was a full adult with millions of subscribers and active brand partnerships. The youth defense started to look thin when the same patterns ran across multiple years of professional content. Those critics also argued that the shift in his output didn't happen purely because of personal growth. The suggestion was that sustained pressure from women's groups and national media coverage had made that particular style of content harder to keep running commercially, and that the timing of the change reflected that pressure more than it reflected a private change of heart. The crypto controversy arrived in 2021, and it landed in a completely different arena, but the core dynamic was familiar, a massive platform, and questions about what exactly was being done with it. By that point, a large wave of influencers had started promoting cryptocurrency to their audiences. KSI got involved, and what followed became one of the most discussed crypto controversies attached to any major creator. The investigation was driven by CoffeeZilla and ZachXBT.
He accidentally exposed the pump and dump crypto scams that he promoted. They've been hidden for 2 years, but only came out when KSI logged back into his old Twitter account, saying, "Does this still work?" Now, if you didn't know, this is KSI's crypto account where he used to talk about crypto coins he liked, but he messed up because one investigator has been waiting for him to return to the scene of the crime, and that person is not me, it's ZachXBT.
Two figures who had built significant credibility specifically by digging into questionable behavior in the crypto space. In their analysis, they focused on KSI's activity around 3 tokens, XCAD, ERN, and THEP. The pattern they described was consistent across all 3. According to their commentary, KSI would publicly endorse a token, prices would rise on the back of his audience's interest, and then he would allegedly sell his holdings shortly after the spike. KSI's response was, to put it generously, creative. He claimed he was simply bad at crypto. His explanation was that the market always seemed to move against him after he posted support for something.
I don't really remember the details of every transaction I made. These were coins I put my own money in, thinking they would do well. I would listen to what people said on Twitter and just follow stuff. I invested in Doge, etc. I didn't have malicious intent in trying to scam. I was new to crypto, so I was excited, putting money in random things and trying to chase the pumps, and ultimately lost heavily. I hope people didn't take advice or tweets as gold, because looking back at my track record, I was effing dog shit. I wish I was an evil genius that would pump and dump at the right time, because then at least people would say that I had some wit about me. Reality is, I was just shit at crypto.
So he had even begun tweeting the opposite of what he actually planned to do in order to try and compensate. The implication being that his own influence was so unpredictable and unmanageable that he had to actively work against his own public statements to protect his investments. Most people online did not find this convincing. The general reaction was some variation of, you have tens of millions of followers across multiple platforms. You are aware of what happens to a token's price when you publicly endorse it. That the same basic pattern appeared across 3 separate tokens made the I just don't understand crypto framing extremely difficult to accept at face value. After the crypto story came Prime, KSI co-founded Prime with Logan Paul, and it launched in 2022 as a hydration drink positioned as a healthier alternative to standard soft drinks. With both creators bringing enormous combined audiences to the brand, it took off faster than almost anyone expected. Bottles sold out globally. Some were being resold at inflated prices. The brand had become a cultural moment in a way that most new beverages simply don't. The hydration drink wasn't where the conversation got complicated. The energy drink was a different matter entirely. When Prime Energy launched, each can contain 200 milligrams of caffeine. Red Bull sits at 80 milligrams. Monster sits at 160 milligrams. Prime Energy was comfortably above both, and it was being actively promoted by 2 creators whose audiences were made up in very significant part of teenagers and younger viewers who had grown up watching them.
Sick. It's like Red Bull, but tastes nicer. It's like Monster, but tastes better. Like, that's just it. And I'm not even trying to come at you like, yo, oh, I own Prime. Like, Prime is the best. Da, da, da. Like, this is just me being honest. Especially the American version, because that's 200 mg, like that shit gets me hyped up, bro. That's the shit I need. In England it's all 120, 130. Off, man. I need more milligrams. Give me the caffeine. I do love caffeine.
Reports began circulating about young people experiencing medical issues after consuming the product. One widely covered case in Wales reportedly involved a cardiac arrest. Schools in the UK, Canada, and Australia moved to ban Prime Energy from their campuses. When the conversation about a beverage reaches school boards and hospital reports, it's no longer a marketing problem. It's a public health conversation, and KSI's name was attached to it. By 2023, KSI had put together a reasonably significant image rehabilitation. He had fought Logan Paul twice in widely covered boxing matches. He had achieved platinum music success. Prime had become one of the most talked about beverage brands in years. He was reportedly in active discussions with the BBC about fronting his own entertainment show, which would have represented a meaningful step into mainstream UK media. Then came the Sidemen Countdown parody, and it very nearly undid all of it. During a word game, KSI produced and said a 4-letter racial slur, targeting Pakistani and South Asian communities. He said it without hesitation. The rest of the Sidemen laughed. The video went up without any apparent concern about what was in it.
JJ and Harry. I'm not. No.
Look, we need points in it. I don't. I don't mean this maliciously, but the word. Sorry, I'm sorry. Look, we need points. I don't. Guys, come on.
Can we have a backup? Can we have a backup? We'll have a backup one.
I don't think that's in the dictionary.
I'm looking, Simon. You wouldn't give points to racism, would you?
Pakistani
is in the dictionary. Yeah, that is the start.
Come on, man. No.
Sadly, it's not.
Oh, it's just like a difference.
As I said, if you can convince me it's a real word. Oh my God! Go on then.
Look, there's quite a few videos I can whip out.
JJ, stop digging.
No?
Stop. We're going to give you 0.
When the clip began circulating more widely, the response from South Asian communities was immediate and pointed. Many people who came forward explained that this wasn't abstract. This was a word that had been used against them personally, in schools, at work, and in public spaces over decades. For those viewers, it carried a specific weight that went well beyond whatever the punchline was supposed to be. The consequences were real. Reports suggested the BBC ended discussions around his planned entertainment show. Other outlets described internal crisis meetings around the situation. KSI stepped back from social media. He then visited both a mosque and a gurdwara, which many viewers saw as an attempt to actually understand the harm he had caused rather than simply perform a scripted public apology. When the apology came, KSI said directly that there was no excuse for using the slur. He also acknowledged that he had been making a lot of mistakes lately, a statement that, given the full timeline of everything we've just covered, was doing quite a lot of work.
It's a racial term that is offensive to so many, especially in the South Asian community. There were no excuses for what I said, and I recognize I've caused a lot of hurt and disappointment to so many people that look up to me. And my ignorance has only reinforced the negative stereotypes that have existed for way too long in this country.
Critics made the point that the moment was difficult to explain away on the grounds of ignorance. KSI grew up in the UK, attended Berkhamsted School, and has spent his entire career inside British media. The history and weight of that particular word were not obscure. The idea that it came out without any awareness of what it carried was a hard argument to make credibly. People also directed attention at the other Sidemen in the room, all of whom had laughed rather than reacted with any visible discomfort. The question that kept coming up was what that said about the atmosphere in that group, and whether the bar for what was considered harmless had quietly shifted somewhere along the way without anyone noticing or without anyone feeling like it was their place to say something. After all of that, you might reasonably expect someone to take at least a few weeks before announcing their next major consumer product launch. KSI did not. In September 2024, he joined Logan Paul and Mr. Beast to launch Lunchly, a packaged meal product designed to compete directly with Lunchables. Each pack included a prime drink, a Feastables chocolate bar from Mr. Beast, and a portion of food in one of 3 options: pizza, turkey stack, or Fiesta nachos. The marketing angle was that Lunchly was the smarter, healthier alternative to a brand that had already faced its own scrutiny over ingredient quality and had reportedly appeared in some discussions around potential lead contamination in certain products.
We just got them from the store. It says used by December 8th, 2024, and today's date is October 16th, so these are supposed to be good for like another 2 months. This is molded. That's mold. This is not safe, especially like kids that are so young. They may not know what mold looks like, so they might just eat it. I saw a picture circulating about mold, but I didn't know if it was fake or, I just had heard about it, but this is real, you guys. Epic ingredients.
The 3 of them framed the launch as stepping in to fix a broken market and give younger consumers something genuinely better than what already existed on the shelves. The internet was not especially moved by this framing. The moment that crystallized the entire debate was a single tweet from Dan TDM. For anyone who needs context, Dan TDM built his audience through Minecraft content and maintained an unusually clean public image for over a decade. He is not someone who picks fights online, so when he posts something pointed, people pay attention. On September 16th, 2024, he posted that he could no longer stay quiet. His point, as people read it, was that 3 creators with massive influence over younger audiences were dressing up a commercial product as a health solution and asking an audience that trusted them to buy into it. The post reached around 600,000 likes almost immediately, and a large portion of the internet sided with him without much hesitation. Logan Paul responded first, pointing out that Dan TDM had previously promoted branded merchandise and a subscription snack box called Munch Pack aimed at younger audiences, using that to challenge the consistency of the criticism. Mr. Beast took a more measured approach and put out nutritional data comparing Lunchly against Lunchables directly, arguing the product had fewer calories, less sugar, and higher quality ingredients overall. Then KSI responded, and his reply ended up being the most revealing of the three. He dug up a 9-year-old clip of Dan TDM promoting a product and used it to call him a dumb YouTuber. His core message was,
Then promoted and made a whole video on Munch Pack, a monthly sub box full of food and candy to his Minecraft audience full of kids. Now what? At this point, his fans imploded.
If you don't like it, don't buy it. The tone didn't help him, but the substance was the more significant issue. Dan TDM's criticism wasn't that creators shouldn't build businesses. His specific point, as people understood it, was that wrapping a prime drink and a Feastables bar around a small amount of real food, calling it a healthy lunch option, and marketing it to an audience of young people who trust you carries ethical implications that are worth discussing. That's a meaningfully different argument from influencers shouldn't sell things, and KSI's response didn't address it. The debate widened from there. Supporters of the trio argued that plenty of creators had promoted products to their audiences before, without facing this level of criticism, while critics said that didn't actually answer the question of whether a particular product being marketed to a particular audience in a particular way was the right call. That split is exactly why the story kept spreading long after the initial posts, because people weren't just arguing about Lunchly, they were arguing about what the whole thing represented. KSI's relationship with his younger brother Deji is one of the stranger and more uncomfortable sections of this story because unlike almost everything else we've covered, it involved actual family, and rather than staying private, it ended up playing out in front of millions of people as content.
To always be on your side in anything you do, you expect family to always be, your number one priority. But with my brother, that's never ever been the case. My brother puts friends first. And the thing is, this isn't fake. I'm actually being genuine with you. He always puts friends first and then family. And it just doesn't make any sense. A lot of you guys, you probably already see this, that, he always puts friends first over family. And this has been going on for years. So a lot of you guys have been mentioning, because you showed his bank statement, he's pissed off. No, that's minor. That's minuscule. Let me give you an example, okay? He's completely blocked me on social media and texts everything. He's blocked me out of...
What started as an argument on Christmas Eve 2018 escalated into a months-long public dispute that eventually dragged in their parents, past relationships, and deeply personal family history. For years before the fallout, the brothers had been publicly compared, with KSI reaching prominence first, and Deji building his own channel in the shadow of that earlier success. The Christmas Eve argument at their family home reportedly involved Deji asking KSI to leave, and KSI allegedly threatening to damage his brother's computer and force his way through his door. As the dispute stretched on, Deji made serious claims about how the relationship had functioned over the years. He said KSI had pursued women he had genuine feelings for, including one person he described as someone he loved. He accused his brother of never really supporting him, either privately with their parents or publicly online. He said the conflict had significantly affected his mental health and that he had experienced what he described as tragic passing thoughts. He later uploaded a 45-minute video laying out what he described as years of being bullied and the ongoing psychological weight of being permanently overshadowed by his older brother.
I couldn't explain. Because I have done nothing but support my brother in everything. Brother's meant to stick by you no matter what. Have your back no matter what. Family sticks by you.
The picture he painted was of a public image. Two successful brothers with popular channels, covering a much more difficult private reality underneath it. Both brothers kept adding fuel. Videos came out, posts went up, more personal details kept entering the public record. The situation never quietly de-escalated behind the scenes. It just kept generating content, and the longer it ran, the harder it became to avoid asking whether a genuine family rupture was being kept alive, in part because it performed well. That question, about where the line is between real pain and content strategy, followed KSI out of the Deji situation and directly into the next one. The Sidemen split is a story that technically happened twice, which is already an unusual situation to find yourself in. The first time was August 2017, when KSI announced he was leaving the group, citing a conflict with Ethan Payne, better known online as Bazinga. The announcement sent a significant shock through the YouTube world. The Sidemen were widely regarded at that point as the biggest creator group in the UK, possibly one of the largest anywhere, and KSI was one of its most recognizable faces. Fans took sides, diss tracks came out, the drama ran for months across social media, and created enormous engagement, and then KSI admitted it was largely staged. He later said openly that the split was designed as a manufactured content moment.
It was fake, motherfuckers! You mad? Huh? You mad, bro? You mad, sis?
Planned tension intended to generate interest, but that it had escalated further than intended because one member didn't follow the script. The people who had spent months genuinely worried about whether the group was finished, picking sides in what turned out to be at least partially a performance.
Big beef with someone much more famous than yourself.
Nah, who would do that?
Nah, bro. It was meant to be fake, and then it got fucking real, bro.
Oh,
Harry ruined it. Harry fucking ruined the whole thing.
Bro, can you not tell it hurt? Listen to him.
This motherfucker, it was meant to be me and you, Ethan, and that was it.
Found that reveal pretty difficult to process. There's a specific quality of trust damage that comes from discovering you've been treating a scripted situation as real, and that version of events, engineered drama that got out of hand, made the 2017 incident look almost restrained compared to what came next. In May 2026, KSI did it again. This time, it was described as real, and by most accounts, it was handled significantly worse. On May 31st, KSI uploaded a video called "I'm Leaving the Sidemen." He said it was the hardest video he had ever made. He explained that he'd been going back and forth on the decision for a long time, that nothing had gone wrong between him and any of the other members, and that the Sidemen deserved someone who could give everything they had to the group. He framed the choice around burnout, needing to prioritize his mental health, wanting more time for his partner and his family. On the surface, it was emotional, measured, and completely understandable. The issue was what the Sidemen said right after. Their statement made clear the announcement had caught them off guard, not a planned handover, not something that had apparently been discussed at length with the other members before going public.
The news that has just been dropped, I didn't know that video was going out now, so I'm expecting a lot of people to just ask.
Just a surprise. These were people KSI had spent more than 13 years creating content with, people he had called his second family in the very video where he announced he was leaving them, and according to their own public response, they seemed to find out the same way the rest of the internet did. Then, the interviews started, and in those conversations, a noticeably different version of his reasoning started to surface, which raised questions about what the original explanation had actually been covering. He mentioned pulling more views in a single month than all of the other Sidemen combined. He talked about needing to chase real goals rather than being held back.
A Harry Styles, in One Direction, or a Beyonce in Destiny's Child. You could argue I am that of the Sidemen.
Is anyone near Speed Walks down the road?
I say Speed as a person is more famous.
And I disagree.
Sure.
It's like, okay, who do you think's more famous? Me or Speed?
Speed, mate.
You're mental.
He said he needed to be bigger than Mr. Beast and iShow Speed. Once that framing started circulating, the burnout narrative, the mental health, the family time, the work-life balance, started to look like the version of the story intended for public consumption rather than the reason he had actually made the decision. The read online was fairly consistent. The Sidemen had become a ceiling and he wanted past it. KSI then posted a follow-up on Instagram addressed directly to the remaining members. He acknowledged that some of them were upset and added, "I know you're all grieving in your own way because of my decision, but you knew it was coming for a while. You knew it was coming for a while." This was written to the same people whose own public statements had indicated they were surprised by the announcement. He was asking them to accept a version of events that appeared to directly contradict what they had already told the public. For people who had spent 13 years building something together, that was a genuinely strange move to make in public. And then, as a sort of final punctuation mark on an already chaotic year, came Thick of It. In October 2024, KSI released Thick of It. The timing landed during the peak of the Lunchley controversy and the Dan TDM situation, and whether the release was designed to capitalize on that attention or not, it didn't help. The track was immediately taken apart online. Comment sections filled with parody clips, reaction videos, and memes. It became one of the most mocked songs of the year within days of release, which is a fairly specific kind of outcome to arrive at. Rather than engaging with the criticism, KSI suggested the backlash was just haters interacting with his content and said people had misunderstood what he was going for. Critics found that response frustrating because the actual pushback wasn't really about his other controversies bleeding into the reception. It was about the song itself. The lyrics, the production, the delivery. People weren't dunking on Thick of It because of Crypto or Lunchly, they were dunking on it because of Thick of It. What escalated the situation was what happened next. KSI's team reportedly began filing copyright claims against creators and streamers who had used the track in parody videos and reaction content. Uploads were demonetized. Videos came down. People who had used the song in exactly the kind of commentary that has existed on YouTube since YouTube existed found their content being targeted. For a lot of viewers, that didn't read as an artist protecting their intellectual property. It read as someone attempting to delete the mockery rather than live with it, which, as anyone who has spent meaningful time online already knows, is almost always the one move that guarantees the mockery never actually stops.